You have 4,000 weeks, maybe less, probably not much more. That's the average human lifespan, broken down into something you can actually count. In 2023, life expectancy in the United States reached 78.4 years, which translates to roughly 4,000 weeks from birth to death. Think about how fast last week went by. Now multiply that feeling by 4,000. That's it. That's everything. Here's what makes this number devastating. You've already spent a bunch of them. By age 25, about 1,300 of those weeks have already passed. If you're 40, you're halfway through. And unlike money, time, or opportunities, you can't get more weeks. There's no overtime in life. But here's where it gets interesting. Most people, when they hear this, immediately think about maximizing productivity. They think about squeezing more into every hour, optimizing every decision, creating the perfect 5-year plan. That's the instinct. It's also completely wrong. Because productivity culture sold us a lie. It told us that if we just work hard enough, organize well enough, and hustle relentlessly, we'll eventually reach this magical point where everything is handled and we can finally relax. You know what happens at that point? You die. The work never ends. The to-do list never clears. When you try to use your precious weeks just to build something for your future without present happiness, you're wasting those diamonds. Think about the last time you told someone you'd catch up with them when things calmed down. When was that supposed to happen? Next month? Next year? When you retire? Here's the truth. Things never calm down. There's always another deadline, another obligation, another urgent task demanding your attention. If you keep waiting for the perfect moment to start living, you'll wait until you're out of weeks. Research on end-of-life regret reveals something crucial. Studies of surrogates making decisions for dying cancer patients showed that regrets persist long after loss, often centered on what wasn't said or done while there was still time. But here's what's fascinating. When people actually contemplate their own mortality, they develop fewer feelings of regret than expected. Something changes when you truly internalize your limited time. Want to know what people don't regret? Working those extra weekends, answering emails at midnight, skipping dinner with friends because they had to prepare for a meeting. The deathbed isn't crowded with people wishing they'd responded to more Slack messages. So how do you actually live when you understand life is short? Not with some generic follow your dreams platitude, but with concrete reality. First, you have to accept what researchers call the joy of missing out. You cannot do everything. You cannot be everything. You cannot see every country, read every book, master every skill, or maintain every relationship. Those precious weeks amount to just under a tablespoon of diamonds, a startlingly small collection to represent an entire life. This isn't depressing. It's liberating, because once you accept you can't do everything, you can stop trying to do everything and start choosing what matters. Second, you need to confront the parent paradox. Someone who spent time with parents daily as a child, but only 10 to 15 days per year after moving away at 19, has roughly 350 remaining parent days total, if they're lucky enough to have quality time until age 60. That's it. Less than a year of actual time with the people who raised you, spread across decades. When you see your parents this holiday, you're not just visiting, you're using one of maybe 30 or 40 visits you have left. Does that change how you spend that day? Third, recognize that your weeks fall into categories. Some weeks are spent investing in future happiness, education, building relationships, developing skills. Some weeks are pure enjoyment, present happiness without much lasting impact. The dangerous weeks are what researchers call neither weeks, time that doesn't make you happy now and isn't building toward anything meaningful later. When you have long strings of neither weeks, you become depressed, frustrated, and hopeless. Your goal isn't to eliminate all neither weeks. Sometimes they're necessary or lead to important realizations, but to minimize them through constant awareness. Here's the thing most self-help advice gets backwards. You don't need more discipline. You need more honesty. You need to look at your calendar from last week and ask which of those meetings, obligations, and activities were actually moving me toward anything I care about, which were just motion without meaning. The math is brutal but clarifying. A 90-year life contains 4,680 weeks. If you see your best friend twice a month for the next 40 years, that's 960 meetups. Sounds like a lot until you realize you've probably already had half of all the conversations you'll ever have with them. Every dinner together isn't just another dinner, it's one of a countable number. This isn't about living in constant existential dread, it's about making conscious choices instead of defaulting to whatever feels urgent, because urgency is a trap. The urgent always feels more pressing than the important. Your inbox seems more urgent than calling your grandmother. That work project seems more urgent than your 8-year-old's bedtime story. But when you're 80, which will you wish you'd prioritized? The counterintuitive truth is that thinking about death actually helps you live better. Research shows that people who resolve their regrets, especially older adults, experience better well-being and adjust more successfully to loss. The awareness of limits doesn't paralyze you, it clarifies what matters. So here's how to live when life is short. Stop optimizing, start choosing. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, start using this moment. Stop trying to do everything. Start doing what matters. Every week that passes is one you'll never get back. You can spend it building towards something meaningful or enjoying what you have, or ideally both, but you can't spend it twice. Those 4,000 weeks aren't a constraint, they're an invitation to stop postponing the life you actually want for the life you think you should want, to stop collecting accomplishments and start collecting moments, to stop waiting until you've earned the right to be happy and start claiming that right today. Because life isn't short as a punishment or a challenge to overcome. Life is short as a gift, a beautiful, terrifying gift that forces you to choose what matters before time makes that choice for you. The question isn't how to live more. The question is, what will you do with your unrepeatable, unreplaceable, absolutely finite weeks? That question doesn't have a universal answer, but it does have a deadline.